Dragon Shield sleeves are only $7.99 on flipsidegaming.com right now. And if you use the promo code CGB at checkout, you will save 10% and support the channel at the same time. So remember to use the promo code CGB. Hello and welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB, and today we're going to take a look at more of the top finishing lists from Grand Prix Memphis. This one is a Gruul Midrange Goblin Chainwhirler list played by Shota Takayo, and it is a bit of a spicy one. I don't think I've seen a Gruul list quite like this anywhere else on the interwebs. It's running some Dire Fleet Daredevils, Goblin Chainwhirler, Gruul Spellbreaker, Growth Chamber Guardian, Zerta Goblin, Collision Colossus, Siege Gang Commander, and Rekindling Phoenix. It's very close to a mono red list, and it stitches the extra green sources into the list in a very creative way with Unclaimed Territory. Unclaimed Territory can, in this case, name Warrior as a primary one that can cast the Growth Chamber Guardian and the Gruul Spellbreaker, or it can name Goblin to cast the Zerta Goblin, as well as still have the mana for Chainwhirler. That's a big deal here. You'll probably have plenty of red mana to cast Rekindling Phoenix, but you won't always have the triple red to cast Chainwhirler, so Unclaimed Territory on most likely Warrior to cast these, and then followed by Goblin to cast these is the usual way that the Unclaimed Territory works. And then you have to be very careful tapping your mana to make sure that you have the mana available, because the Colossus side costs a red and a green, but the Unclaimed Territory can't produce for either one of that. So you have to be really weird when you're thinking about doing things like, I'm going to cast my Goblin and give it haste and give it Colossus for lethal. There's some interesting stuff there going on. Shota Takayo he has a few decent Grand Prix finishes in Indianapolis. No, not Indianapolis, in Minneapolis, playing humans back in 2016. And in Hong Kong, playing Modern Jeskai Tempo, he took a third place home. So he's been in a few Grand Prix top eights, not a lot of big Pro Tour finishes at this point, but maybe he's about to break through on the Pro Tour. And he put this kind of interesting red-green Chainwhirler deck on the map. Let's have a look in the sideboard. Rather than go over every single matchup, I'm going to talk about each card and what I think it's good for. Lava Coil is an additional removal for Drakes for white, for mono red probably as well. And you can probably replace like a Dire Fleet Daredevil in a situation where your opponent won't have many removal spells. You could also probably replace a Colossus if all their creatures are typically on the ground, to make sure that you have a turn 2 removal spell instead of a turn 2 pump spell or turn 2 creature. Kroll Harpooner is a warrior, so you can play it off of the Unclaimed Territory on warriors, which is good. And this comes in to deal with more flyers and get extra bodies. Cindervines, excellent against Nexus decks, excellent against Esper control because of Search for Azcanta, excellent against a number of decks in the meta. I wouldn't bring it in against white aggro just to blow up a Conclave Tribunal. It is interesting that you can, but I don't really like that. I prefer to use it in places where the damage can be meaningful. Another Collision Colossus for the matchups where this is very good, which is primarily where you have to shoot a creature out of the sky like Lyra or Hydroid Crassus, and where you want to race, where you are clearly the beatdown and Colossus can help bring the trophy home quickly. Fiery Cannonade is interesting in the deck considering how many things it can kill of your own, but you still need it against the white aggro decks, and I found it very useful in that spot. Remember, if Fiery Cannonade is in your deck, you need a very good reason not to make this a 3-3. Most of the time you do end up making a 3-3, but it does depend on the situation. Maybe we'll get more into that later. Legion Warboss can replace Goblin Chainwhirler in matchups that are more about speed and less about the Chainwhirler's ability sweeping the board. Examples of this are Turbo Fog and Esper Control. The matchups where you need to beat down quickly, Warboss can come in, Chainwhirler can take a bench seat. Karn, the Scion of Urza, are for the grindier matchups, but I would also bring them in against Control. I would bring them in against Esper, specifically, because if you can make the opponent tap out to answer your War Boss, your Spellbreaker, your Growth Chamber Guardians, then sticking a Planeswalker can take over the game. So I think it's for control. I don't know where else I would quite put it, maybe in the mirror. The Immortal Sun is another anti-control card and anti-Sultai midrange card, but I've had some pretty good times bringing this in and dropping it in spots the opponent doesn't expect. Don't bring it in with Karn. I would advise against that, unless you're against control, because then they have to answer one or the other typically. If you're in the mirror, I would say choose one. The one that you think is more effective. Does the opponent have any access to like Bedevil or artifact removal? If yes, Karn. If no, Immortal Sun. As far as what to take out in those grindier matchups, you always have to try to judge how good cards like Direfleet Daredevil, Lava Coil, and Shock are given the opposing threats and how their deck plays out. Cutting some amount of these is usually where you end up. Also, does Goblin Chain Whirler kill anything? And do you need a 3-drop body that can attack for 3? Sometimes this gets cut as well. I haven't trimmed Phoenix in almost any situations, but I would if the opponent had a white deck with a lot of exile, and I don't think I've ever trimmed the Siege Gang so far. All right, that's a quick talk about the deck and the sideboard. Let's go play some games. 2 Growth Chamber Guardians is weird, but on the draw maybe one of them will die and the other can replace it. So I'll try this hand. We don't have any removal, no shocks, no lightning strike, no lava coil. That's not very good on the draw. And if we're playing against some kind of a Sultai type deck, we're just never going to get there. But hey, there you go. Hollowed Fountain. Some kind of a control mage. What's going on here? Esper. No Thought Erasure though. Boom. What you got? Growth Chamber Guardian. Time to play some Growth Chamber games. I think I just go for the pump. Or we could try to flip the script on them and pump on my turn. But they could definitely have a Mortify. Let's see what happens if we attack. Feels like they're holding up counter magic. I'm going for it. We need to clock them. We need to clock the enemy. They need to suffer. If we can resolve a Phoenix, it's good against Kaya's Wrath. But I think our opponent's just sitting on counter magic here. What's the right play in that case? They just missed a land drop. So them pulling a Kaya's Wrath off aren't that likely. So here's other Guardian. Here's Absorb. We had to get it out of there somehow. Warrior. Growth Chamber Guardian number deuce. Take that. Lava Coil, not the draw you want against Esper. Now, did they draw the land? Are they going to Kaya's Wrath me in this spot? Ooh, nice. So that lets me play my Phoenix. Big old bird. Which means that Kaya's Wrath now doesn't kill that. That's a big deal. Plus we got this hasty beater to come down and put the opponent under huge pressure even if they do pull the Wrath off. Hey, we're gonna get that Kaya's Wrath? We are. All right, bring back Rekindling Phoenix. There's 2 cards in the graveyard for his Kanta, that's a ways off. Let's play this with haste to make sure we get the hit in. Nice and quick. Go, go, go. So again, the opponent's in a spot where a Kaya's Wrath won't save them because of the Rekindling Phoenix. So with that in mind, I'm perfectly fine playing this Chain Whirler, knocking them to 1, turning the pressure all the way up to 11. Kaya's Wrath, Absorb, Search for his Kanta, all the usual suspects here. Vraska's Contempt. Now we know they play a few more Contempts. They didn't have to show that to me though. So they've seen Phoenix, we've seen Contempt. I don't think that changes playing Phoenix because if you can get enough cards on the board, the Kaya's Wraths can be... Well, you can... The Kaya's Wrath is really intense if you don't have a card like Rekindling Phoenix or a hasty creature to follow it up. So, for that, I think we still play the Phoenix. Direfleet Daredevil is good against them. Lava Coil is not. The burn spells might be. So I don't think my opponent will bring in a Thief of Sanity here, which means I can, for the most part, trim these kind of cards away. Also, Collision is a pretty good way to deal with that. Let's bring in the Legion War Bosses. Let's bring in the Cindervines. Let's bring in Karn and the Immortal Sun. Collision's interesting here because it can deal with Lyra's Thief of Sanity while also saving you from things like Moment of Craving that might be in the deck. We're on 8 cards, so I think here's where I pull out the Shocks. And I want to keep lots of threats. Chain Whirler is a bit too slow, though. So we'll pull the Chain Whirlers out of the deck in this case because they don't do quite the same amount as the War Boss. And I think that's what we keep. We definitely want some of our early creatures or Cindervines. Then we want to back it up with some of this power and rawr. Gruul Smash. Oh man. Slow hand, but with 2 strong cards, but I think I have to be faster. Oh. Not really what I wanted to see. And it's just as slow. Alright, there's a 2-drop. There's another land. We can draw a 3-drop and then, or another 2-drop, and then draw another land, and then another land, and this hand could be good. But if your first play against Esper is a 3-drop, you've basically, like, if they have any kind of a hand, you've already lost. Because you can't expect it to still be there even. You'll just get thought erased. Alright, land, go. What do you think? Moment of Craving? I'm gonna play around a Moment of Craving. Just cuz. Alright, fine. It was dead either way. Cue the sick Gruul tunes. Well, that's not absorb mana because of the basic swamp. So let's Vines him. The Mortify might hit this. You board in Negate against me? I wouldn't even keep Negate from the main deck in this matchup. That's so fortunate for you. Alright. How about a bird? Bird. Cast it down, I dare you. Well, well, well. And let's bring the pain. I don't think we want to play out the Siege Gang. That hesitation is like my opponent looking at their removal spell and their Kaya's Wrath and wondering if they have to use both to kill the Phoenix, and I want to try to leverage them into that. Rope-a-dope. Bang. Let's play the tap land, say go. Oh, wow. Don't know what all the roping's for. Oh, and War Boss as well. Alright. Let's try to keep dealing damage with the Phoenix, make the opponent answer this. So there's a lot of, like, if we go for the commander and if we do nothing, our opponent can possibly contempt away the Phoenix or kill it then wrath it. Kill it then wrath it would be ideal for us, but if we're passing the turn here, like, I feel like I have to jam into this. And if the opponent goes removal spell and kill that and kill the Phoenix with a wrath, that's really good. But then maybe we can play the War Boss and recover. We're just at this stage of the game where I think that passing is death. Okay, here we go. So there probably is a Wrath coming, and the question will be if they also can like go Wrath plus removal spell. Tap land, wow. So that's not going to hold up but like an absorb after a Wrath, which is something I was worried about. And there's a Moment of Craving, maybe they don't have it. All right, lucky me. 4 mana open, 7 damage going in. They haven't had the Wrath yet. I think we just go after them. All right, there's an absorb. Got to get him out of there. Hold on to your butts. I don't like our spot at all, but you never know. Teferi, what you doing?
Right on schedule.
Oh no.
Reverse.
All right, big top deck needed. Big top deck needed. It's pretty good. As long as it resolves. And as long as there isn't a Moment of Craving from the opponent. Of course, if they have the Moment of Craving, we could try to draw it out here to protect Teferi. So let's do that. Okay, they don't have one.
Hardly my worst defeat.
Crab people. So if they did have a Wrath, we'd have seen it, which means I should just play out my creatures. Get around counter magic, which they may have. And we're just on, like, where is Kaya's Wrath is what we're playing right now. Another Teferi.
If you keep up the pace.
This one draws. We have a lethal attack if the opponent can't... Oh no! Oh no! Okay, it's a Vraska's Contempt. I thought that was a Kaya's Wrath. Alright, 2 mana up. None of it black. Let's take this. Go get that. Again. We have the mana now to play it and go find another one, which we should probably do. Let's start out by crushing Teferi because I think we have to. The longer you leave it out there, the more cards they see, the worse things get. Down to 7.
Now what?
There's an exiled Crab People, so there's one more Crab People in the deck. May as well have it in our hand. Lethal board. Can the opponent solve the problem? Insight, looking for Wrath. They've got to be looking for the Wrath. Of course they are, and they have it. Okay. Can we hit a big follow-up? We can. Put haste on that. Go get him. Put out the Growth Chamber Guardian. Pump it up. All right. Okay, so let's look around. What are the good top decks? Siege Gang Commander is very good. War Boss gets in damage. Collision Colossus doesn't work if there's not a creature, so I'm worried about that. Lightning Strikes, pretty good. Cindervine's pretty good. All right. Our opponent still has to answer this board. They might find another Wrath. And they might just have multiple removals in hand. Try the Canarium? You brought that in against me? Fishy. Another Contempt. And a search for his Kanta, and the top deck isn't good enough. Oh no. But we did just get a Contempt out of our opponent's hand. And we've got them on 3. So this search is gonna flip, and it's gonna cause us problems. But the opponent still has to find the perfect cards. There's the Wrath. Don't kill my egg. They're searching for a way to kill the egg. They find Absorb. Give me back my birdie. Top deck Lightning Strike. Go get him. Oh yeah! Took it down. Now I'm going to try the deck in best of one a few times because I really enjoy best of one. I prefer it to best of three. And to make some adjustments, I'm going to trim a Direfleet Daredevil since they're not good in all matchups. I'm going to cut the Lava Coils because they're not good in many matchups. And I'm going to add in some Legion War Bosses to have an extra threat. And I'm going to add the Immortal Sun because I just really love it as a fun of in a deck without Planeswalkers and kind of a go wide deck particularly. So that's what I'm going to do for a best of one version of the deck. Okay, we have some Shocks and Growth Chamber Guardian and Spellbreaker, so I can try this hand. It has the mana we want and a Rootbound Crag. Pretty good stuff. Alright, looks like mono red. So do I play Growth Chamber Guardian into what looks like a Shock? I don't think so. I think we wait for the opponent to let the shields down. Against mono red, we're not really the beatdown. We just want to make sure that our creatures are always bigger than theirs. Yeah? Sure. I don't really like that play. It's kind of like burning 2 cards to get 1, and you're not going to cast this Frenzy anyway. So if you're the Frenzy version of the deck, it really doesn't make sense to me. Let's go ahead and put you out as a 4/4. That way it dodges all these lightning bolts our opponents are likely to play, and it hits really hard. Here comes Pyromancer. We're lighting the stage even more, so there's some runaway Steamkins involved. So now I am confident my opponent will tap out for these Steamkins, and that will give me a chance to play Growth Chamber Guardian and adapt it next turn. So I'm going to play the tap land, and I'll say go. I think I'll say go, yeah. I am not the beatdown. I'm going to make an army of 4/4s and beat the opponent with those. That's my plan. I will block. If you want to trade a lightning bolt or shock or thingy for this, that is fine with me. All right, we've got a Steamkin. Are they going to lose this other Steamkin? They are. Wow. So I didn't expect that, but let's also shock away your Steamkin. All right, now for our turn, we'll play the land, we'll play the Guardian. We will immediately adapt the Guardian. It also puts a lot of strain on our opponent to always leave their shock available now, if they still have it. All right, 2 points for my face. That's a good draw. That's a hot draw. How about you don't have a Pyromancer? How about that? They did not play a Wizard's Lightning in response, and I think they would have done that for the Chain Whirler if they had it. So no Wizard's Lightning. I'm going to keep holding this card. If our opponent's congested on mana, for them to hold up a Shock or Lightning Strike for this, so that I can't just play it and adapt it, is going to be a bit of a strain. Lava Runner. There's the Wizard's Lightning. Interesting. See if they're feeling frisky. Yeah. All right, I'll shock it. Our opponent now has 1 mana. It could be a shock. We almost have enough mana to double adapt. Just so you know, if you put an adapt trigger on the stack and your opponent responds with a removal spell, you can adapt again. It does work. So because of that, let's play this. We'll name Goblin, and I will play the Siege Gang for now. That's pretty mean. But our opponent did tap out, which... That does mean that the Growth Chamber Guardian is going to come down and be another 4/4 that replaces itself. So let's get it going. Take that action. Get myself another crab, people. Send over this Growth Chamber Guardian. Our opponent goes to 5 life. I would say we're ahead. And same strategy with not playing this until we can adapt it as well. Here is a runaway. I could use the 2 mana here to kill the Steamkin with my Siege Gang Commander that can't do much anyway, but I think the Steamkin's priced into a chump block. So let's just work on that. Here is a Goblin. Let's play it with haste and just try to finish the game. The opponent will need at least 2 removal spells, and even then we can drop them to 1 and they have to chump their board away. Alright, Chain Whirler in front of Siege Gang. Steamkin in front of Guardian. So before the first strike damage, let's throw the damage at the opponent. We could also throw this just to make sure that it hits, but I think this is good enough. With 2 mana, I don't think that they can kill the Guardian and the Goblin. I just don't think they have the ability in their deck. There's the Lightning Strike, but they're still taking 2 from the Commander and 4 from the Guardian. Alright, I suppose we can try this. We have a number of 2-drops. If we draw a land, our 3-drops online. Our mana's okay. Our mana's getting awkward, but it's okay. So we go Goblin, we go Warrior, and we're set. Opponent will shock themselves to take some tithe. Okay, whatever. The white matchup's interesting. It's not, I wouldn't call it good, but it isn't terrible either. It's something in the middle. So this is where I know at this point that the Daredevil isn't going to do much, but it is a really good blocker. That first strike holds off a lot of the early creatures. Or maybe this deck is a little different from what I expected. I thought it was going to be the mono-white, almost mono-white Azorius deck. Maybe not. Well, it's playing the same so far. We see that island. Maybe our opponent does have Deputy of Detention hiding out in this deck. So do I play the Spellbreaker or do I play a Goblin and shock a Knight? I think I may as well have a Spellbreaker. And make it a big one. How do we win this game? Usually Rekindling Phoenix, doing a lot of work. Flying over. Alright, so let's get some goblins down there. The opponent's about to have a very big turn, potentially, with the knights. Wow. Okay. So I was trying to figure out also if they're an Unbreakable Formation deck, but Absorb surely must fit into the spot where Unbreakable Formation would fit. So I'm not going to play scared of that card. I'm going to take a pretty big hit, but then we get to recover with Siege Gang Commander. All right. Bit of a brew showing up here today. I'm definitely taking the bump because then the Goblin can still dwarf the Knights. Opponent's being really liberal with their removal. Like, really liberal. Which tells me they either have a lot of it or their hand is running out of gas. and that they don't have other threats to add to the board. I really need my opponent not to have another binding for that. Could be sad. Lyra's here. Interesting. Really? Is that the attack? I mean, I'll block here. And I'll block here. That's fine, right? I mean, that's a pretty silly attack. What am I missing? The opponent's just trying to force damage on me? Now we got rid of the knights. If we can get rid of the Lyra, and we have the means to do it with the goblins, I think we just try to swing this turnaround, because if all they have is a Tithe Taker, how good is that? They might have another Lyra, which, you know, it could cause me some trouble. Let's get these both tapped for colorless. Now we have to do it on our turn because of the Tithe Taker. It has an extra, costs us some extra mana if we wait. Please don't double Lyra me. They're super aggressive. Just super aggressive. You should probably play the Unbreakable Formation deck. It's too bad we can't play you. Our opponent probably Unsettle the Wreckage plan. They also could have Wrath, which might flash in. I mean, I'm trying to come up with what the hell is up with this deck. Absorb is a possibility. So let's send you. All right, down to 10. Okay. I don't feel like I should play the Siege Gang Commander into this. I can afford 3 mana to sacrifice a goblin to the Tithe Taker, so I think I'm just going to pass. I just hope it's not an Angel of Grace. But there's so many unknowns from the opponent right now. Could be any of these things. If they play the Angel of Grace now, though, I can, while it's still my turn, fling the goblins at it and knock it out of the sky before it's my opponent's turn and the Tithe Taker takes effect. I just have to remember to turn on full control if the opponent flashes in an Angel of Grace. All right, control mode. Full control mode, lock it in, please. I'm trying to lock it in. There we go. Resolve. All right, with that on the stack, how to deal. We could keep our Siege Gang Commander, but I actually like getting rid of it now that we know our opponent has Ixalan's Binding involved. So I'm going to fling here with this goblin. And then fling here with the Siege Gang itself. There goes the Angel of Grace. It's so unfortunate to draw 2 Spellbreakers in this spot. Wow, our opponent hates red decks. That's what I'm getting from this. Sure. Okay, now I'm just... The opponent's whole deck is built around tricking people like me who think that we know the meta. They're the hero here, not me. It's okay, you can root for them if you wish. Second Siege Gang's quite a beating, though. Healing Grace. Inconstructed. You gain 3 life, prevent the next 3. Our opponent's right on the... That's technology. That's what that is. That's technology. Yeah, just keep attacking, why not? Alright. I'll block over here, and I'll take 3. How about another Healing Grace, huh? I mean, this time all it does is gain 3 life, because the Tithe Taker wasn't big enough. So now what? The opponent does leave up Settle the Wreckage mana, and I can fling these around. I definitely want to at least fling 1. Yeah, we'll just send the gobos. Okay. Not a Settle. Could be an absorb, so why wait? We'll instead use the turn to kill our opponent's things. So tap here, tap red, sacrifice this, target that, so that we can use the rest of the abilities on our turn, or on the opponent's turn. And since they're going to play with healing, grace, and weird stuff like that, we'll put a stop right here. We'll say end. Fire off on the cleric. I think I'm going to let the 1/1 sit for a minute. Just about any angel from this spot would be lethal anyway, if I take a hit from one. So aggressive. Opponent has a lot of life gain, so I'm starting to get it. Oh, Chart of Course. So next level. Everything they do is next level. All right, what are you targeting? Whatever you target, I'm going to sacrifice. Ooh. But if that deputy dies, I get back a siege gang. So what I'm going to do is let the deputy have the gang. And I'm going to pitch the token. Deputy can have the gang, but I'm going to get that back someday. Ooh, good against angels. Keyword good against angels. All right. Let's send some damage your way. See if we can start working back on this life total. What are you, warrior? Green. Are you the goblin? All right, colorless. Bring out the growth chamber, and let's go get one right now. Crab people, crab elf, not crab people. Identifies as elf. Guess it could also identify as people if you want to. All right. Add a green, add a colorless. Let's see if this growth chamber resolves or if our opponent is packing that absorb we played around for a few turns. Sure. What else you got? What a variety pack we're dealing with, huh? I don't know what to... I'm just running out of things to say. This pile is so legendary. It's so mythic. Now, the Angel of Grace can exile from graveyard to go back to 10. We have to keep that in mind. Top deck's Resplendent Angel. Good thing this is up our sleeve. So. We can Collision Colossus, grow it. That can probably be lethal. Growing the Chamber Guardian and adding the Colossus is more damage than playing the War Boss. My opponent is finally out of tricksy cards. So we can figure out basically from this block how to lethal them. Okay, the blocks are set. 1, 2, 3, 4, and this will be 5, 6, 7, 8. Easy peasy. And damage. What an interesting deck our opponent brought. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this interesting look at Goblin Chain Whirler Gruul Midrange. It's a pretty fun deck. It has some weak matchups against the gate decks like many other midrange builds, and I don't like the Sultai matchup, but I do like the red matchup, and I would encourage you to play it in the red heavy meta, particularly the best of one version, but I'm a best of one junkie. I'm addicted. I have a problem. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. As always, I will see you in the next video. Remember to like and subscribe. Mana necklaces have arrived at hauntedflower.com. These necklaces are a great way to show your favorite MTG colors. Remember to use the promo code CGB at checkout to save 10%. That is promo code CGB on hauntedflower.com.